I'm going to go ahead and press record. Here we are with our second to last session of the Brand2Buyer Virtual Summit. We've got Persepolis Brands on board. Let's see, we've got Seth, Matt, Mia, Jacob, Jessica. Thanks, guys, for showing up, being attendees. Hope that you're all hanging out at home after a long day of work. Maybe working from home, as it seems most of us are these days. We've got Ian here, Ian Daly. He's with Persepolis Brands. We're going to give it like a minute just to see if there's any other attendees in the waiting room. And let's see what we have here. If you're new to the platform, there's a handout section next to the chat. So go ahead and go in there anytime. There is a document, a PDF for you from Persepolis Brands. And feel free to use the chat screen to ask any questions that you want answered. There's also some cool little reactions, emojis, raising your hand in case we don't see you. And let's get started. 6:01. All right, welcome. We've got Persepolis Brands. Hey, Ian, thanks for being here.
Hi, Alex. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ian and I have actually worked together in the past, actually not under Persepolis Brands, but I was talking about this in another one of the sessions today, that in this industry, we're so small that it feels like if you're not working with someone today, you're probably going to work with them tomorrow. So it's good to keep your relationships tight. And I'm just so happy to see your face and to have you on the platform. So I don't want to butcher it at all. And I'm actually learning a little bit more too. So I'm going to let you completely kick it off and share Persepolis Brands with everyone. I'm going to turn my camera off here. There you go.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate it. And yeah, first off, I wanted to make sure that we said thank you to you for organizing this and putting it together. It's been a really cool process being involved from our perspective, and we're looking forward to doing more things like this in the future. So to introduce myself, my name's Ian Daly. I'm the president and COO of Persepolis Brands. I'm a Marine veteran and serial entrepreneur. I'm actually a transactional and tax attorney. I've been in cannabis for about 4 years. I started using cannabis to help manage stress and pain after I got out of the Marine Corps. I had a dispensary in downtown LA during Prop 215 until 2018. We shut down anticipating that we would get licensed, and that never happened. I also have started several law firms and focused on tax and transactional issues in cannabis. And distribution companies. I've done several distribution companies and worked with testing labs, brands, and then really where my specialty has been over the past couple of years has been in building and managing distribution operations, where we average about 10 new accounts, retail accounts per week for both new and established brands. That's been our track record over the last 2 years between me and Dina. And so I put together a little survival guide, I called it, in the handout. So if you want to download it, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and turn on my screen sharing for that so you can see what we've got, and I'll just kind of talk through who we are at the same time. So at the high level, Persepolis Brands, we are a Southern California brand incubator and accelerator. We come from the industry. We're all industry operators, and with deep experience both in Prop 215 and in the fully regulated side. So we do everything from the branded product development, manufacturing, sourcing, packaging, and then as well as the sales and logistics, the real distribution layer, where we specialize right now in Southern California. We're launching our Southern California operations. We've really focused on sales first, data-driven, operations, which means that, our experience and expertise, especially on the sales side through Dina, my partner and the chief revenue officer at Persepolis, is to drive sales for our brand partners. We've set up all of our operations to be sales and scaling partners where, we don't have hidden fees, and we're integrating everything from the sales to the logistics, cash collection, and everything end to end, fully compliant, and on a single rate, very competitive rate with no hidden fees, because we've really set it up to be a scaling partner where we're growing together with our brands. So I really wanted to talk today about how retailers can adapt to the new normal in this, the post-COVID, as things kind of evolve, which, we're all still kind of seeing how they will evolve, but, we've seen a lot of things already. And I think, we can make some recommendations based on that. So again, at Persepolis Brands, we're a brand accelerator empowering socially responsible businesses. We believe in the power of collaboration as the platform for success. So everything from developing branded products, sales and logistics, and then data and scaling. So what we're seeing right now is that the coronavirus and the response to it is accelerating the shift towards delivery and has really kneecapped the industry's primary marketing mechanism, which has been the in-store demos and brand activations. And what we're seeing is that California's problems aren't going away, and a lot of times they're getting worse. So we're faced with already a fragmented and insular market where, the Northern California retail market and Southern California are very different. And then even within those regions, every sub-region has its own character, has its own flavor, really. And that's something that brands have to address when they're, approaching getting their products into these markets. We're also seeing that the rise of brands is removing a lot of the pricing power that retailers have traditionally had. And that's probably going to continue to be the case and accelerate, especially now that so many of our buyers are being forced out of the traditional retail environment, where that the decision making was really being guided and directed and advised by the bud tenders. And then we've also seen that a lot of the white label products available at the retail level have been overpriced and not sufficient quality for what's being charged, and a lot of, frankly, just wild variations in both quality and pricing across the supply chain, as a lot of these kinks get worked out, shifting to a fully regulated market. And so we're also seeing, already cannabis has limited marketing channels. There's not a lot of, you can do some on social. There's a lot of keyword censoring that makes it difficult. And, traditional advertising has already been limited. And then now with the dearth of brand activation opportunities, since there's not a lot of in-store presence being encouraged right now, that's further limiting the channels that are available to market both brands and retailers. And as we discussed, the shift to delivery. And if anyone has any questions, go ahead and feel free to stop me and interrupt at any time. Really, this is designed to be to help anyone who's watching in making the most in these trying times. So what can retailers do to get off the roller coaster, so to speak? increase their margins, reduce their risk, and grow their brand? Well, step number one is definitely to expand to delivery. It's generally a low-cost expansion for most retailers because the licensing fee is zero. I don't know very many exceptions, but generally, if you're licensed for retail, you can also do delivery right out the gate. There's few market leaders, even statewide and even locally, that gives a good opportunity for retailers that already have a strong brand recognition on the retail front to really leverage that on the delivery side and really grow the brand value there. And that's something that we at Persepolis can help with because we actually do staffing and HR recruiting, and we have, I think right now, over 50 qualified drivers. So if you're looking at expanding your delivery operations, specifically in Southern California, we can definitely help with the staffing needs there. Digital marketing is also another thing that is going to be one of the key tools that differentiate successful brands in this post-coronavirus era. And I think this event, the Brand2Buyer Virtual Summit, is a great example of that, of an innovative new type of marketing tool that gets access for us as a business service provider to our clients, and we're really looking forward to the development of the digital event space. Also, organic content. There's a lot of options to leverage the social media reach of your fans and get them to invest into the brand and contribute their content and really build and have a stake and in what that brand identity really truly is in the marketplace. And as as all of these trends develop, definitely data is going to be the key to capitalizing on trends as they evolve and as things change. And then another option for retailers to expand their brand here is to develop their white label products. So, building on your existing brand loyalty and expertise, and what your customers want. And so if we can help, or if that's one avenue that can definitely help amplify your sales and improve your profit margins, is white labeling those high value product categories with your brand, your in-store brand, your retail brand, or even an affiliated brand. I've got a lot of experience with that. Worked with several dispensaries who have started flower brands that we then launched on the distribution side. And it's a great avenue to not only expand your brand's reach, but also to mitigate your financial risk as you're part of a different part of the supply chain. So there's different risks involved, and that can really help amplify your total revenue generated. And at Persepolis, we pride ourselves on our white labeling services. Through us, we offer access to the industry's best cultivators, processors, hardware and packaging suppliers to source and develop uniquely positioned, consistent, market-ready products for your brand. And what that means is increased brand reach, better margins, and more customer engagement. That means your customers engaging with your brand not only throughout the entire retail experience, but throughout the entire life cycle of their consumption experience. And one thing that in my experience has definitely been an issue for companies trying to make that transition and to add that to their arsenal, the branded products focus, is remembering that launching and growing a successful brand has a different skill set and different focus, and requires a different set of skills and disciplines than, operating a successful retail storefront, or operating a extraction and manufacturing facility, or operating a cultivation. They all have unique skill sets required to do them successfully, and consumer brands are not they're not exempt from that. And then sales and distribution. At Persepolis Brands, we really offer turnkey access to the supply chain, and that's statewide. Right now, that means our industry-leading sales and logistics channels, data aggregation and analytics, and immaculate customer service. So what we offer to our brand partners: increase market share, to manage and diversify their financial and operational risk, like I said before, by being exposed to a different part of the supply chain that will help mitigate some of the risks that are unique to retail or whichever part of the supply chain you're in. And then deepen your brand identity and customer engagement to really connect with the customer and help really develop and clarify what it means to be a fan, or to be a member of this brand identity. So we are a brand incubator and accelerator built by cannabis industry veterans. We're uniquely positioned to help establish a house brand or expand it across product categories or into new markets. Our sales director, Dina, I'll go into our team a little bit later, has done tens of millions in packaged cannabis sales across hundreds of retailers for dozens of the best brands. Together, we've built, several successful distribution operations. She's sold everything from Brass Knuckles, THC Design, Summit Boys. What we are offers a sales-first, data-driven brand incubator and accelerator that, with deep experience building successful cannabis brands across California's unique and varied market. When you're ready to compete, we're there. So how we work is, this is basically just kind of goes over our production phase, from bringing on a client until really scaling their operation. So from initial consultation to identify the client objectives, brand positioning, target demographics, researching the key competitors, the product market user fit, product viability, pricing, and then into prototyping, where we're sourcing the product and packaging samples, production, initial revolving and special production runs as needed to both fill and grow demand, and then the scaling side, sales and logistics, full service scaling partner for cannabis brands. We do everything from sales, logistics, cash collection, storage, quarantine, and testing, all for a single competitive rate with no hidden fees. And this is our team. CEO is Ali Ganji. He brings over 5 years of marketing and management experience in cannabis. He's got experience in operations in California, Nevada, and Washington, and experience in the medical industry as well. Dina, my partner and our chief revenue officer, is a cannabis sales veteran. She's generated over 30 million in annual sales for brands like Brass Knuckles, Summit Boys, and THC Design. And she's built multiple statewide cannabis distribution operations, leveraging her deep sales acumen. And I really have to tell you, she's a sales wonder kid. When I was asked before, what does she say when someone says no? I just said, I don't think she hears no, but don't tell her I said that. And then finally, this is our contact information. This is our phone number, my email address, and then our Instagram account. And we're here to help and really looking to help brands and retailers not only survive but thrive in an era of really changing tides. And so if anyone has any questions, please, I'm there.
Such good information. I love how you tied it really into like what's happening right now in the world, because I think a lot of people are confused and not really sure what's going to happen, and just maybe going business as usual, but a pivot is needed right now. And pivoting is not something that is easy to just take on and do. You really have to have the right people, the right partners to work with in order to really pivot your strategy so that it's impactful.
That's a good point. And it's definitely, I think, sometimes underappreciated, and not just in cannabis, but across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now is like the time to pivot, the most important time to pivot. I think that the idea of just waiting things out is not going to be the best decision right now. And you're right. The most important, or I would say the most common market strategy right now is doing, brand education and in-field marketing and brand activations in front of the customer. And we can't do that right now with social distancing. So having to,
and frankly, I feel like the Weed Maps is on the decline, and something's got to fill the void, and there's a lot of opportunity there.
Absolutely. And hopefully we can go back to that model. It is an amazing model to really get consumers to learn about your product. And in the meantime, also having partners who really understand, first of all, that exists, and then trying to grab the gems out of that and create it in some other way is going to make any company, any brand, any dispensary, any retailer stand out more than the other right now. There's really an opportunity to be a standout, be a highlight in the industry right now, which,
Sure.
Hopefully this event kind of speaks to that a little bit, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, especially the timing of doing this instead of Hall of Flowers, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wish we were all at Hall of Flowers. I wish we were all in Palm Springs sharing a joint together or something. But I'm glad that we're all able to, I'm glad it's 2020. Can you imagine it being 1995 or I don't know what we would do.
Right.
But this is possible. And I was so stoked to have you on because, having these kind of companies that are so dynamic and have such expertise is, it's kind of 50-50 now. I feel like a lot of people are getting in the industry and are just, they don't really have the experience. So having a really dynamic team with you and Dina and Ali, man.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Do any of the attendees have any questions for Ian? Ian, did you mention that you have a background in law? I forgot to.
Yeah, that's right. I'm tax and transactional attorney. I went to UCLA Law School after graduating USC, and so deep connections to the Southern California professional industries there.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. So if you work with Ian, you'll know that everything will be by the book, compliant, regulatory. Some people skip those. They skip, crossing their T's and dotting their I's. So you've got Ian there to make sure that happens. Damien.
Performance-based sales. So can you clarify your question, Damien? As far as what more, can you be more specific?
If you're watching on the replay, we just had an attendee write in and ask if they do performance-based sales. So I wonder if that means as a distro company for brands, possibly, that maybe instead of one specific percentage that is all around the board, maybe it's more performance-based. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. Damien, any clarity would be awesome. But Ian, does that maybe?
Well, if that's the case, it's not something that I've Yeah, it's not something that as far as what you were asking, Alex, and doing like I guess like a sliding scale. I haven't done that, but I've had people ask. We've negotiated, and it's something that, depending on the situation, that we can do. Generally, though, as far as our fees go, it is a flat percentage distribution fee based on the product that we sell. So if that's the question, then that is our standard model is performance based. That's kind of why, like I was describing earlier, why we say it's sales first, and then we do it all without any hidden fees, because I don't want to charge a fee to hold inventory or collect money when my goal is to sell the product. So, it's about aligning those incentives. So, absolutely, that's our standard model is performance based. But yeah, if that, yeah. And if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to talk more.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Damien. Is there any other clarity questions that whether you're work for a retailer or if you're a brand maybe looking for a distribution company? Ian, are you guys opening up your catalog for more brands?
Yes, actually, beginning today, we're looking to bring on new brands. Yes.
And when you bring on new brands, what are you looking for in a brand? Is it just kind of come one, come all, you have a license, you're good? Or do you have a really strict protocol on who you actually bring in?
It's definitely, I think there's more than one way you can have like a strict kind of gatekeeping mechanism. And you can either do it like the quantitatively. I know some distributions say like, oh, well, we've got a spreadsheet with the expected sales for all these brands, and if they are over this much, then we go after them. Our approach is not quantitative; it's definitely qualitative. What we look for when we're bringing on brands specifically is we've got unique product positioning, unique demographic positioning, and then also like, I don't know how to say it, but the longevity. It has to, you can't really build much on a single product if it's too narrow. But we're looking for brands that need a sales and distribution partner, brands that understand that they're marketing towards a consumer demographic, and that their focuses are, laser guided on that. And then our focus is on delivering the distribution and logistics, sales, compliance that they don't have to worry about, so that they can make sure that they're delivering the product and experience that their customers really want. And Carly asked a question: how would a brand go about getting distribution through Persepolis through delivery? So the best way to reach out to Persepolis about getting brand distribution is to reach out to myself or Dina, and that's why I can put my email back up, but it's ian@persepolisbrands.com. And then we will, set up an intake interview to determine, the goals of the brand and whether or not it's a good fit. Oh, thanks, Alex. Perfect. Got my email up in the chat now. Yeah. And yeah, so that's step one, is identifying whether or not it's a good fit for our operations, and whether or not we can really help build and scale and sell your brand and products, because that's our goal. Our goal isn't just to be a distribution partner that just delivers where you tell them to, like a FedEx type model. We're really looking at distribution as a complete end-to-end service, where all those logistics we're handling, everything from sales through product delivery, cash collection. compliance, quarantine, testing, you know.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, it's 6:30. Does anyone have any other questions for Ian before we wrap up? We'll let the chat stay open for a little bit in case there's any other questions. Ian, is there anything else you wanted to share before we wrap things up?
You know, I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers everything that I had wanted to talk about. So
yeah, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for speaking not just into who you are as a brand, but also into, you know, in the times of Corona and what's actually happening out there in the industry, and kind of giving a little bit of I kind of feel like a little bit of a free consulting session for anyone who is running a cannabis brand and feels a little confused right now. So thank you for giving your expertise and sharing that with everybody. It really speaks to the kind of team that you have and how strong of a team it is, even though it's a new company. So
thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate the opportunity and the platform and getting the access here. So thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely. If this is your first session as an attendee, it's now 6:30. We have our final session in half an hour. That will be with me. I'll be doing a live Q&A. You can come in. You can ask me anything about the industry. I'd like to call it an Ask Me Anything, but I don't know that I'll give you every answer. But I will try my best to make sure that everyone gets what they're looking for. Let's see, Carly says, thank you so much. It's so important the patients are still able to get their meds right now, and so many manufacturers are dealing with shortages with COVID for supplies and whatnot. So what you're doing is important. I agree with that. Thank you, Carly, for that note.
Carly.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned for another session happening at 7 p.m. The wait room will open at 6:45. I'll probably just open up the webinar at 6:45 and let everyone hang out in there, chat with each other. It'll be our last session of the day, and actually the last session of the whole summit. We'll wrap things up. If you're watching a replay, the information for Persepolis Brands will be up on our Instagram and also on our website as well. So please go sure and check them out. I'm sure you'll see their name more and more as they get rolling here. And I think that's it. Thank you everyone for attending. See you all in about 15 minutes. Let's see, yeah, about 15 minutes. And thank you, Ian, so much for being here and representing Persepolis so well. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
All right.
All right. Bye, guys.